Hi, I'm Nicole Roberts-Jones, and welcome to The Fierce Files. Now, what I know for sure is that one of life's greatest gifts will meet you when you go after your more. And so here is why I share with you thought-provoking insight and behind-the-curtain conversations with women who have reached the pinnacle of success because they went after their more. Now, I really want you to get this. One idea from these episodes can make a remarkable difference, not just in your career, but in your life. And I want to make sure you join the conversation in our Facebook group. So go to findyourfiercemovement.com. Now grab your pen and get ready for today's session of The Fierce Files. We are replaying some of our favorite episodes from season 1 and 2. So take a listen to this episode and then mark your calendars for our season 3 premiere on Wednesday, September 4th. Hello, and welcome to today's episode of The Fierce Files. Now, today, I think I probably say this every episode that I'm super excited, but I'm always thrilled to introduce you to these power players that say yes to having these candid behind the curtain conversations, and today is no different. So today, I'm going to introduce to you Dr. Deborah Tillman. Now, Deborah is best known as America's Supernanny on Lifetime television, but she's also the founder of Happy Home Child Learning Centers, Incorporated, and she's the president of the Parenting Movement, a nonprofit organization that seeks to rebuild and restore families worldwide. So she's a consultant, she's a speaker, she's an author. She's been labeled a force for good by the Washington Post. So Deborah has a deep passion, obviously, if you didn't know it, you know it now, for children. And really, she began her career over 25 years ago when she became frustrated with the lack of quality childcare her son was receiving. And as a result, we've seen her climb, and we're going to talk about it during this episode. So, Dr. Deborah, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you.
So super excited.
Hear from you, Nicole.
So excited to have you.
So good to hear from you. Thank you. So excited to be here.
Now, the thing that I'm going to jump right in out of the gate, because the thing that, when people see you, Deborah, on TV, what they don't realize is that you had a successful career already in accounting before you even went to this whole parenting thing. So tell us about that moment for you, because you could have easily stayed in accounting. You could have easily been lucrative over in that career, but for some reason in that moment, instead of just being the head of the PTA or head of whatever committee was at that school, right? You felt like there was more you had to do. So tell us about that moment for you.
Amen. Okay. So first of all, let me just say thank you for having me on your show. I love you because people don't know that you were my coach. And so thank you for all that you have sowed into my life. But to your point, yes, I was a successful accountant in terms of what, my mom would call successful. Right. 6-figure income, working for an engineering company, the youngest staff accountant. And I got married and had a son. And that just changed the trajectory of my life. He had 7 childcare providers and schools in 3 months. And so he was being abused. I mean, clearly being abused. The thing about me is that as soon as he was being abused, as soon as I noticed a bruise on his arm or something on his back or given the wrong breast milk or left in a car seat for 4 hours, sweating profusely, I would just grab him out. And so this lasted over a period of like 3 months. Yeah. Wow. And at the 7th,
so wait,
because
so
I was so
it wasn't one school, it was 7. It was 7 different.
It's 7.
Oh my God.
7 different. It was actually 4 preschools and 3 in-home childcare providers.
Wow.
And we had done the research, Nicole. We thought these people were great. And, that's why I always tell people, don't look on the outside. You really have to know the person. You have to be inside. You have to know what their character is, know what their values are, because you really don't know what you're getting. Anybody could put on a face for a minute. And so what led me to knowing that this was enough was basically, or as Fannie Lou Hammer says, getting sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Right.
That's where I was.
Right.
But that didn't happen until I walked into a back room. This was the 7th child care provider. She was in the hallway. And at that moment, I was like, okay, where's my son? So I'm frantic. I'm walking. My heart is pounding 1,000 miles a minute because, this is the 7th. And I had no idea where he was. And so I'm going through her home. She's like, he's in the back. I'm like, in the back where? So, I'm trying not to get frustrated, but I'm already frustrated.
Right.
So I get to the back room and my son is in a bassinet. And at this time, he was about 3 months old. And he's in a bassinet and he has a bottle in his mouth The wall is holding up the bottle like a ledge.
Oh my God.
And he's sucking air.
Ugh.
He's sucking air. Nothing is in the bottle. And at that moment, Nicole, is when I absolutely, I always tell people, I could either be in prison now or
right.
because I would lost my mind
right.
or I just fell to my knees. I grabbed them up. I don't even remember taking the bag or anything. I just grabbed them up. I said nothing to her because I knew I would probably strangle her if I had said anything.
Right.
And then I just ran to my home. And when I got home and I was shaking, and I just fell to my knees. I put them down and I just fell and I looked up to God and I was crying and I was like, Lord, 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 what is it? And this is the first time I asked this question because all the other 7 times I was saying, why me? Why me? Why is this happening to me? All my friends have good childcare. Why me?
Right.
And I was not hearing from the Lord until the 7th time when I looked up and said, what is it you want me to do? And that's when I heard 7 still small words. I want you to do it better.
Ooh, wait, I got to stop right there. We're just going to stop right there because literally, even I've heard this story before, it's still giving me chills as if I've never heard it, right? We're going to stop here and take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back for more. It's back for the 4th year. This online event is the one that I get more emails and inbox messages asking to bring it back, and it's called the Slay Summit. Starting on August 5th for 4 days, you will hear thought-provoking conversations with 13 power-playing women who are all coming together to give you insight, to help you show up powerfully and share with you how they each have said yes to their ability to slay, and in so doing have gone after their next level. So you can go after yours. Join us and learn more at SlaySummit.com. Is this your year to slay? Is 2019 your year of more? Are you ready for your year of increase? Join the movement and be inspired and get equipped to grow to your next level. Again, you can opt in at SlaySummit.com. And starting on August 5th, you'll get insight from power-playing women like you've never heard before. I'll see you there. So I want you guys to get, one is sometimes you got to ask a better question. So up before then, you were focused on why me, right? And the 7th time you asked, Lord, what do you want me to do? That is so good. That's, literally that one question was a game changer, not just for you, but here's the thing. Every person that's listening to this episode, I want you to get, sometimes it's just a shift of one question that'll change everything, and one perspective, one shift in how you see it, one shift in how you are being in it. So that's so good. So anyway, I just had to stop because that was good. Right.
And so all of this, and to your point, all of this really was about me. And I think a lot of times we get stuck because we say it's about me. Why me? Why me? No, it ain't even. This life is not even about you.
Right.
God knew who you were while He formed you while you were in your mother's womb. So He already knows the plans that He has for us. Right. The ending. He already knows that. So by me saying, what is it you want me to do? That then opened the universe for Him to be able to tell me, this is what I'm preparing you for. This is what you've been prepared to do. And now that you're asking the right question, I'm stepping you into it.
But even when and here's the thing now, of course, on this side, it sounds easy and wonderful, but you were in a whole different industry, right? So that moment.
Please. I'm not even, telling anybody go out and quit your job. Like, you really got to know that you're hearing from the Lord. Right. And that was the clearest voice I had ever heard, that those 7 still small words. I want you to do it better. And this is from a person that I didn't study early childhood education. My degree was in business administration, political science, and accounting. I minored in accounting. I knew nothing about, and matter of fact, I didn't even want to go into education because my mother was a special education teacher for 30 years. And I watched what she went through with, preparing her lessons and then, getting ready for meetings and coming home and saying one person showed up. And I was like, oh, I'm not having that kind of life. I'm not doing that. Yeah, right.
But even in that moment,
we make plans. Right.
But even in that moment, Deborah, and I really want people to hear this, because in that moment when you heard that voice, and sometimes it's a voice, and I'm saying this to the listeners, because sometimes it's a voice, sometimes I call it that intuition, which to me is God speaking to your soul. So whether it's that inkling where okay, there's more for me to do, or this job just doesn't fit, me anymore. Even in that moment when God said, I want you to do it better, I know you were like, better? How the heck am I going to do it better? I don't know how to do this, right?
Well, yeah, but not in the moment. In the moment, I was just silent because I couldn't believe, it was almost like a shock. Like, what is this? And then you don't know if you're saying it or if God, like, you're like, who's saying this? And you want me to do it better. Do what better? Right. Do what better? Right. The business. So I had to sit with myself for a minute, Nicole, and really see that, it wasn't the job. I was very clear about that. He wanted me to quit the job. So I definitely did that the next day. They didn't get a 2-week notice. So I quit the job. And then I said, okay, he wants me to do it better. He's going to show me the way. And so the first thing, what I knew for sure was that I can do it better than they did it.
Right.
The seven experiences I had, I can do it better than that. I knew that from Jump Street.
Right.
And so I just started in my home. I started where I was. I didn't go out looking for a place. I started where I was. I started with what God had already given me. He gave me an apartment because at the time we were living only in an apartment. And I said, okay, I can start here.
Right.
And that's where I started. I became an in-home childcare provider in the apartment. That's where I started.
And so even when you started out, because obviously you didn't start out to become a super nanny, you keep it all the way real, right? So so when you started out, now you know what's so interesting is I love having these conversations because it sounds so simple on this side, right? But there was a time, I don't know, in this place if you were outside of your comfort zone, or I'm sure when God expanded this small apartment-based childcare center, pretty much, right? So tell us about that. Tell us about that moment when you knew it was time to even expand that.
I'll tell you when the comfort zone came, but not quite then. So because I heard it so clear, because I think your emotions, played a part in it, and God knows his children. So he knew he had to take me through 7 times for me to be, because I've always been that child that could take a lot. I was a child that could get my ears pierced and would cry like an hour and a half later. Right. So I was good at making it happen in the moment. So when he said quit the job, I didn't have any problem with quitting my job. I didn't have any problem with starting in an in-home. I got a little lashback from hubby who was like, excuse me, we got to pay rent. And I was like, nope, God told me to quit my job. So I wasn't even afraid then. It wasn't even about getting out of my comfort zone because I felt like I already had leadership skills and that I could do this better than they could. So I started, writing a policy handbook because he did show me you're going to have a school. I wrote a policy handbook, had no employee, no parents.
Right.
Then he told me to write an employee handbook. I had no workers. I had no employees, but I just did it. I just did the steps. I was very clear on doing the steps Lord told me to do, even though I didn't see it. You know what I mean? Because I was in the apartment.
Right.
And so it wasn't until I just did the best I could. And I've always believed this because this is something my father told me, is just do wherever you are. I don't care what you're doing in life, whatever stage or phase you're at, do it in excellence. Do it the best you can. So even in the apartment, you would think I was running a Fortune 500 company because that's how good it was. I mean, those kids got a curriculum. I came up with my curriculum. I did a schedule. I just had it, I was just doing it. So 10 months in, I got a call from the manager who had never met me, general manager of the buildings we were in. And he called me and said, I heard that you've been doing a fantastic job in your home, in the apartment as a child care provider. A school just went out of business that I managed. Do you want it?
Ooh.
That's how I got to school.
And you know what they say that what's that quote, when preparation meets opportunity, and had you and I done all the work, and I love that you said start where you are, right? And so many people don't ever get started on their vision, that dream that's rumbling inside them, because they're trying to get to this big thing they dream about, but you've got to start with the little piece. I always call it, on Thanksgiving when my grandmother used to, God rest her soul, bring out that big old pecan pie. I would want to eat the whole pie, but I can't. I need to cut a slice. And even with the slice, I eat one bite at a time. So I love that you said start where you are, but it was because you started where you were, but you didn't, what's that saying? Fake it till you make it, right? So it's I call it be it until you see it, right?
Be it, amen.
Until you see it. So you were already functioning.
Small beginnings.
Yes,
that's right.
Right.
Never despise small beginnings because they're not that small. They're not small. They're just steps to get you to the next step.
Yep. And I love that you said you were the whole policy and procedures as if you had a whole staff. I love that. Please. And so when that call came, you were ready.
I was ready. And so I stepped into it, and it was a 5,200 square foot building. The kids were already there. The equipment was already there. So see, had I been wasting time looking for a building, trying to find financing, all of that, that's not what God planned. He just said, do what I tell you to do.
That is so good.
And so, that's how I got the first location. And the second location was pretty much the same way. I was running, I got the center nationally accredited because what I did was I said, okay, I want to be the best center. So now that I have a school, I want to have the best school. So what is it? So what is the standard, like the Academy Award? What's the standard? It's the Oscar. So it's the NAE, right? It's the NAEYC accreditation standard. I was like, okay, we can do that. So I'm calling up the lady within 3 months, and she's like, ma'am, you have to be open at least a year to go for it.
Right.
Okay. Soon as that year hit, Nicole, I was on it.
Standing in line, ready to fill out the application. Right.
Standing in line, ready to make it done.
Right.
Make it happen. Exactly. Right. And so that is what happened. And we've been nationally credited, I have to say, like 5 or 6 times in the 25 years of running a business. So, yeah.
And so then you started your business, right? And then at some point, Lifetime TV called, right? So here's my question, right? What did you, in all this time, thinking about your journey over the last 25 years, thinking about, first of all, you would have never, I'm sure, when you graduated from college, you sure didn't see this vision, right? Not at that moment, right?
Oh, gosh, no.
Thinking about,
not at all.
Thinking about, what did you have to let go of or give up to say yes to your next level? Like if you think about your journey over time, each level, I know you either had to say yes to something or let go of something, right? Sure. So even though I sound really, I don't know what I sound now, but, maybe very spiritual, maybe. I don't know. But back then, looking back on those notes and those journals, I was the CEO of my own life. I had to get out the driver's seat, Nicole. I really was like, okay, God told me, but now I can do it. So then when you kind of lose track, because he will keep you in alignment. But at some point after the 3 centers, and not even Supernanny yet, but just 3 schools I'm running now, I kind of got in my own way. I was like, okay, I can do this, I can do that. And I remember looking back at my journal saying, wow, this was a failure, because Happy Home 3 was a failure, like literally like a failure. I closed the business in like 3 years because it did not look like a place that, God would be happy with. But the reason why, when I look back on my journals, was that I never prayed about that center. The other 2 schools was in my hand, like it was a call from Happy Home 2. The reason I got that is because a lady's mom got cancer. She unfortunately had cancer, and the lady said, I heard that you've been doing a great job at Happy Home 1 and you have a wait list of 3 years. I'm leaving this business. Do you want me to talk to the owners about giving you this? Like, that's how it happened. The second school, like it was just given. Wow. And so the 3rd center, I said, I'm just going to do this, right? God didn't tell me to do that. I'm out here looking for properties, getting realtors, doing all this stuff. He didn't tell me to do that. And then sure enough, I get to school. But because he didn't tell me to do it, like I got to school because I knew how to, get to school. The issue was less than a year later, I get a call from Lifetime TV America Supernanny. See, God already knew that was happening. So he also knew that I didn't have time to build a solid foundation for number 3. Wow. And so, see, I messed up my own self. So I wasn't there then, but I always say, there's no failures. There really are lessons learned. Right. And if you take the lesson, you can move on. But even in the midst of that, Deborah, I love your faith, right? I love how, but how did you get to this great faith walk? How did you get to this place where, and dare I say, all of us have God's voice different. So I'm not going to ask you that because my voice and your voice, what you hear is probably 2 totally different things, because God knows how to talk to you the way Deborah's going to receive it. And he knows how to talk to me just like the rest of you. But how did you get to this place where you have such strong faith?
I think and that's probably why I align and resonate so well with children, is because when I was a child, I remember us being like, the story, we were wealthy. We were, for the 1960s and 50s growing up, my father was vice president of an aluminum company. Right. And the Jewish guy that ran the company, Bakeloom, he was my sister's godfather. And so my father went from being a janitor all the way up to being the, vice president of the company, and then eventually president of the company. Wow. And so we were living like that. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. She was a socialite. It was all that in a bag of chips from 1 to 12 years old. Right. 12 years old, they broke up. They split. My father, I came home 3 days before my 12th birthday. Daddy was gone. I was like, is Daddy coming back? No, Daddy's not coming back. In the mind of a 12-year-old, you don't really understand what's happening. Right. So you think it's your fault. And so that's kind of how I was, because I was a daddy's girl. So I thought it was my fault. Like I ran Daddy away. And now I'm trying to go through my mind, my little 12-year-old mind. Did I say something to Daddy? Is that why he left? When it had nothing to do with me. But what I saw then so that's why I say everything in life, happens for a reason, and always works out for the good, is that what I saw my mother do then was she went back to school. She got her associate's degree. She worked 3 jobs. So that meant my older sister had to raise the other 2, because I have a younger sister as well. And so I watched my mother literally, she wasn't begging nobody. She was on her knees every day. I would come out of the bedroom and see my mother on her knees. I would be walking by the bathroom. I'd see my mother's face like God. She'd have all the bills laid out on the table, and she would be praying over these bills. And I know she didn't have it. Like, now that I'm grown, I know that she did not have it.
Right.
And, she would just lay all the bills out on the table, pray over them. And I watched, like, stuff happen. Like, the church would come the next day and say, oh, I just want to give you this gift. Or Thanksgiving, they say, oh, here's just some food, and just bring us a plethora of food, like just a whole Thanksgiving dinner. Like, I always associated that with the power of the Lord. And so I think at a very young age, I got that solid foundation, those building blocks, that faith, that knew that if I just asked God, that he would provide. He is our provider. He is our rock. So I learned all of that being, growing up, watching my mom. Right. And then even the way people treated her, Nicole, how she was all that, and people would be at her house, to when we had to go on welfare, it was like she had no friends. And I would just look at her and say, Mom, where's all the people? Like, where, I remember asking that question, and she's like, God will never leave you or forsake you. And so I had such a strong upbringing in faith that when I got older, I just believe exceedingly abundantly. I believe that there is nothing that is impossible with Christ. As long as I'm walking with him, he's going to take me to my expected end. So I don't look for managers. I don't look for anybody. Like, these people come to me. Right. And so that kind of brings me into, it was an email, Nicole. And I didn't even pay attention. I was coming back from vacation. My son was on the computer, and he said, oh, you got a note from Lifetime TV? And I'm like, oh, they probably send it to everybody, delete it. And he's like, no, Ma, I don't think so, because it says Dear Deborah. Right. And I said, oh, okay, read it. So, they went through the whole spiel about Joe Frost retiring, and we're looking for a homegrown America's Supernanny. We've already had 400 auditions. Nobody's gotten chosen yet. If you're interested, please give us a call. This is the number. And I waited. I literally, because I had learned from numbers, I had learned from just like life that, let me pray about it. So I prayed about it, and I didn't call them until that Wednesday. So we did a Skype interview over the phone. They flew me out to California on that Friday. They threw me in a house with a woman that had a plethora of issues with 2 children and with a cameraman, and said, this is your audition. Fix her problems, and you only have an hour to do it.
Oh, my God.
That was my audition.
Oh, my God. And that's huge because here's the thing, you guys don't know, because I come from TV land, because a lot of the shows you watch could have taken a week to record an hour, because they edit stuff out. So the fact that they told you had an hour to do it, that is just crazy.
An hour to do it. Absolutely. Absolutely. But you know what? Again, you just went back to that preparation meets opportunity. Yep. What was I doing for 20 years prior to that? Well, because my heart was so bleeding for children, when parents would call and say, oh, Miss Deborah, I can't get the child in the bathtub, talk to him. Oh, Miss Deborah, I need advice about this. I would literally be going to houses. I'd be waking up at 11 o'clock at night saying, he's crying. You didn't get him in bed yet? Okay, do this. I would be talking them through how to handle their children for 20 years, but just no cameras were there. Right. So then when I got the call, I wasn't afraid. There was no fear. Because God had already prepared me for the moment.
Yes, I love it. Yeah. Yes, that is so good. Oh my God, you have given so much, so many nuggets, Deborah. So look, let me review, because I've been trying to take notes. And those of you that have been in other episodes, I get so excited I write sloppy. So if I say some word that's wrong, Deborah, correct me, because I can't read my handwriting either.
No problem.
So first, you went from asking yourself, why me? And you shifted and asked a better question. What do you want me to do? Right? Which to me, that so good, right? And literally the other thing and these are my takeaways, right? You started where you were, right?
Right.
And then even starting where you were, you took the lessons that something your dad always said to you, wherever you are, do it in excellence, right?
Excellent.
And so,
excellence is the key.
Yes. And so I just love, first of all, I love talking to you, Deborah, because I learned something new. And she gets so passionate. You hear how fast she's talking. And let me tell you, this girl right here will have you on fire by the time you hang up. So,
sorry.
Girl, that's okay. It's good. It's all good, right? So with everything you shared, from leaving a career that you know, that you had spent years making, you know, really growing in that career, to starting a whole new journey, to starting with where you were, to really having to trust God. You know, one of the things, I know I've said this on other episodes, you know, what people don't realize, we are people of faith, but sometimes we need to see it to believe it. But what faith really is, and this is Hebrews 11:1, so I didn't write this, is faith is a substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen.
That's
so
right.
Listening to your journey, every step, you've taken the step and you didn't know the next. You didn't even know when it was coming or how it was coming, but you trusted. And then you took that next step. You know, and I love that you tell the story. That's the third step, that was not a trust step. That was a Deborah gonna fix it step, right?
right. I
love that. So
I learned that lesson quick.
Right. So in all of your 25 years, if you had to give women that are at that step, that place where they know it's time for their more and they're scared, or, you know, this more doesn't look like the success they've already gotten, right? It doesn't look like the corner office or the 6-figure salary they already have. What are three steps or 3 actionable strategies you would share with women that they had to do to move into their more?
Wow. So more, first of all, that fear thing is real, because I deal with so many parents now, and you can tell them till you're purple on the face, these are the steps, these are the concepts, this is what you do. Right. But unless they actually practice it and do it, it's not going to happen. Right. So, you know, Jim Rohn always says, you know, you can't pay somebody else to do your push-ups. Oof. It's the same thing. We have to do the work. Right. We have to do the work. There's a wonderful quote by, I can't remember her name, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the president of Liberia. And she says, the size of your dreams must always exceed your capacity, your current capacity to achieve them.
Ooh, that's
the size of your dreams must always exceed your current capacity to achieve them. So first of all, you have to have within you. And I think this, again, was a seed, you know, because I do believe that all children are born with seeds of greatness. Now, whether they reach that greatness or not is up to them, because that's our choice. We have choices in life. I always knew that there was a seed of greatness. Like, I believe it. To this day, I don't even think what I'm doing now is the thing that God has destined here on earth for me to do. I believe that there is more, that there is more value I can provide, more service I can give, more love I can share, more hearts I can touch. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, there is always more. But if you don't have that within yourself, Nicole, then that would be the first step. That will be the first step for people to sit. And I know, you know, I don't know if they expect a 1, 2, 3, but my thing is that what helped me is that I had to sit quietly with myself. And I can't tell people how important that is, because the world has kept us so distracted. Right. We have gotten so into, I mean, people put their phones by their bed. That's the first thing they look at is their cell phone in the morning. And I was like, if they can just, I guess
be
for me,
well, here's what I call it.
Be. Yeah, yes. Be.
Because
be.
It's
just
like
be in the moment. Meditate.
And they call us human beings. But we're so focused on doing, and so really we should be human doings, because most of us are so busy doing. We don't stop and just be.
Just be. Just be and protect the sanctity of your mind.
Yes.
Because this world has gotten us all messed up. And if we don't have that white space, if we don't have that time to meditate, if we don't have that time to just shut up and be quiet and allow the universe, allow God, whoever you believe in, just to speak to you, then you're just caught up in the cycle. Right. And the cycle is not going to get us anywhere fast. Right. So that would be the first thing. Just be. So that you can get your next steps in life. Right. Right. And then one practice that I have to say that I did put in place during this time was that I used to just wake up and just start my day. I started with this practice, and it came from working with Marion Wright Edelman. So I go to this farm, the Haley Farm, with the Children's Defense Fund every summer. And so there's this class that we take at like 5:30 in the morning. And the guy, he was a pastor, and he said, okay, what are your morning routines? Like, what is it? What's your thing? And I didn't have one. I was like, dang, what do? I just kind of get up and just start the day. And it was about 10 years ago. And I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to come up with, and that's when I came up with the daily high five. I call them the high five now that I'm in seminary, you didn't know that, I'm telling you.
Oh.
So now I'm in seminary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm in seminary. So I call it the centering practice. And so I wake up at 5 every morning, not just saying that any of you have to do this, but you should come up with a morning routine and an ending routine. So I wake up at 5. And then I pray, and then I exercise. And exercise, people don't really understand. I know people like exercise. Now, this is a Black girl who never wanted to mess up her hair, who always was like, I'm not exercising. I don't want to sweat.
Okay.
But true. That is why Deborah Tillman cut off her hair. Because it's natural. So you'll see it straight, but it's just blown out. But really, when I wet it, it's curly. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to be tied to that anymore.
Yeah.
Because that was my comfort zone. I'm just going to keep it perfect. No. I had to get out of my own self, my own way, and say, look, this hair is keeping me from being the best version and highest version of myself.
Come on. Right.
So that's why I cut my hair. So anybody sees the picture knows why now. But yeah, I exercise, and then I come back and I read for an hour, because I figure, if you don't know yourself until you can grow yourself. You got to grow yourself.
And you don't know yourself till you grow yourself. That's so good.
Yeah, you got to grow yourself. So I read every morning for an hour. And then the last thing I do is write down 3 things that I'm going to get accomplished for the day. 3 things, just 3 that are must be's for the day. Because I used to write a 20-page, novel and would get 3 things done and feel like a failure. So I started writing 3 things down. Now, if I get more than that done, that's great. But at least these 3 things have to be done. But once I started this morning routine, Nicole, oh my gosh, it shifts your mindset. And you know as well as I do, whatever goes into your mind goes into your action. Whatever goes into action goes into your behavior. Yep. So all of this is, it's just a holistic approach to being the best and highest version of ourselves.
Oh,
but we have to do the work. Right. Nobody else can do it.
Right. Oh, that's so good. And I'm going to start doing that. Look, I already pray in the morning and exercise, right? Exercise on a good morning, right? So, and that's why I started wearing my hair natural too, by the way. But I love that read for an hour, because, my read for an hour is in the evening most times. And sometimes I'm tired and I don't get to it. So look, you just taught me something. I'm going to start doing that too. So that's good. Now, is there a third thing you would recommend? So it's the number one is to just be daily high five, which is your centering practice. Is there a third thing?
Yeah, daily high fives. And I think for me, honestly, it's just like Nike says, just do it. Because I could say all these things, but if you don't do it, if you don't practice it, it's not going to happen.
Right.
And that's why I just keep it simple. I keep all my parenting skills simple. When I talk to parents, I'm like, look, it's just they're like, oh, Miss Deborah, it's so easy. No, it's not easy. It's simple. What makes it hard is that you're not doing it.
Right.
So don't call me 30 days later saying it doesn't work. It doesn't work because you didn't do it. Right. So if we could just practice doing it, just take one step.
Yep. One
step at a time and do it. Be consistent at it. Make it a habit. I'm reading Brendan Burchard's book now, The High Performing Habits. I love that book. But in that book, he talks about these habits, getting clear, finding out who you are, what you want, what are your values, so that you're not, tossed to and from in the world. Because, the world has so many ideas and opinions. And if we don't know what we want, if we don't know who we are, then we just kind of go here and there. Right. And so that first step that I tell you to spend time with yourself, that is getting to know who you are. That second step of, meditating and doing all that is growing who you are. Like, grow yourself.
Right.
Right. And then the third step is actually practicing what you've learned.
Yes, put it in action. Yes.
Yeah, put it in action. Just do it. Just do it. Yeah.
That's so good. Well, Miss Deborah.
And you'll see changes.
Yes, you will. Because it's like watering the seed, right? So you plant the seed and you got to water it. And it doesn't come up overnight, right? And
no, it doesn't.
Look, and in full disclosure, I just hired a new trainer because my old trainer used to send me exercises and she didn't see me. So I had to hire one that sees me, because in my first training session, she told me you don't have any core strength. I'm like, I've been exercising all this time and I don't have any core strength, and that's why I have a pooch. Yeah. So I get it, right? So sometimes you got to even up level the way you're doing stuff so that you can see the result you want to see.
That's right. Right. Because what's the sense in doing it if there's no results, right?
Hello.
Results are everything.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I could talk to you for the next 3 hours. So you have given us so much yummy insight. But even more than that, I want to say thank you. Thank you to your commitment to families. Thank you for always going over and above. Thank you for always letting your light shine, Deborah. You are such a light in this world. And I just want to thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you, Nicole. To God be the glory.
Yes. And thank you for being here with us on the Fierce Files. I appreciate you, girl.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of The Fierce Files. Now, I want you to walk away from these episodes with value, so grab your pen and answer either one or all three of these questions. Number one, what was your greatest takeaway? Number two, what will you do differently as a result of what you heard? So you may have heard something you've already heard before, or you may have learned something new. Either way, don't take the insight that was shared with you for granted. So commit to doing one thing different because of what you heard. Number three, what was confirmation for you? What did you hear that confirmed you're on the right path? See, I want you to take a moment and celebrate you. Too often in our journey, we focus on what we're not doing and we forget to celebrate what we are doing. So what was something that showed you that you're headed in the right direction? Now, I want you to share your answers. Share your answer to either number one, what was your greatest takeaway? Number two, what would you do different? Or number three, what was confirmation for you? And share it in our Facebook community. So go to findyourfiercemovement.com and use the hashtag FierceFiles. Now, each experience we encourage, support, and celebrate as a community. It allows us to expand in possibility and wisdom, in encouragement and love. Now, we've invited you into our community to deepen our journey with being the answer someone needs and in being committed to your next level. So until the next time, be extraordinary, be unapologetic, be bodaciously you, go and be fierce.